Today I'm delighted because I was looking at the weather forecast and it was telling me that today it was going to be really, really rainy and grey and horrible. And actually, out there's a little bit of blue, it's dry and it's a lovely temperature. So what we're going to do today is we're going to head to Ballyboley Forest. We've already visited Ballyboley, but we haven't been in the forest before, so that's going to be new probably for you and for me, unless you've been there. And we're going to take the Inktense pencils with us. I'm going to put an A3 sheet, mask and tape it down onto my board, and we're going to draw it together. I'm hoping to plonk myself in the middle of a forest and maybe make a cup of tea while I'm at it. So come on, and let's go and visit Ballyboley Forest together. So here we are. This is Ballyboley Forest. Now the sat-nav has taken me to an interesting place, but this is the view behind that I'm going to tackle today. Now it's a pretty Northern Irish kind of day. It's quite mizzly, it's quite cool, it's March, so it's not too bad. I've got my cosy fleece on to keep me warm. I'm looking forward to drawing a scene. I've got an A3 sheet with me. But what I want to do first is get a view from above, because it's just a heck of a lot of fun and it just gives you this lovely perspective. But also what I want to do is make myself a cup of tea, because I brought my stuff with me. It's got to that time of year where I carry that in the car. So I'm going to send the drone up, so let's have a look around and then I'm going to get a cup of tea and then we'll make a start. So I'm just sitting waiting for the kettle to boil over here. You might be able to hear it a little bit, but I've bought these. I think I've shown you them before. These are the little hand warmers, little rechargeable hand warmers, and I just hold the button down and then a little red light comes on and you can see in there, and then if I just press it again, that's the levels of warmth. So you've got 1, 2 and 3. So I just normally keep it at I think about 2 actually, and then I just pop them in my pockets, and they're really, really good because whenever it's cold at times like this, it's not bitterly freezing, but it just keeps me that wee bit warmer. So good tip for plein air painting. Just while we're waiting on the kettle to boil, I thought I would take time to comment. You know, this is very much a typical Northern Irish day. You know, you've got this kind of grey, really kind of, if you're looking at colour wise, it's like a muddy sort of earthy grey, and these kind of green brown tones, and the gravel. Look at the gravel. You know, when you look at a lot of the paintings that I'm doing, it is filled with this kind of stuff, because we do have beautiful blue sky days, but on the whole this is the kind of weather that we have. And I mean, look at this off into the distance here. It's absolutely beautiful in its own way. Now, I wouldn't want it to be like this all the time, and even the mistiness that's coming, just if I can get my finger in the right place, the mistiness that's coming across these trees down here, it has a beauty to it. Now we need sunlight, and we've had a little bit of sunlight, but today you're getting authentic Northern Irish weather. So in true Northern Irish style, it's actually started to rain anyway. So I wanted to discuss the cup of tea in Northern Ireland. Now the cup of tea is very much a staple part of our culture. So I've got my kettle boiled. Now I have added in milk powder, which I think that for some people that's absolutely disgusting. I quite like. It's dead easy when you're out and about in places like this. The other thing is I have my tea bag. Now I know that this is going to repulse some of you, but I have my tea bag actually in the cup and I'm moving it around and swirling and squeezing it, and for some people that has to be done in a teapot and has to be warmed beforehand and all these things. I'm easy, simple man, you know. So we're getting to that kind of consistency. So the joys of making tea out in the rain in the wilds in Northern Ireland. So that's my tea ready. I'm going to enjoy my tea, take a minute, see if the rain eases off. If it doesn't, we'll just put the seats down in the back of the car and make it work. So this is where the trees were. You can see, actually, if you just look up how misty it's become. I mean, it's just the joys of doing plein air. Now, I can still see these trees a little bit, and it's hard to know whether they're going to clear or what really we do in this case. So it might be the best idea to head back to the studio, I think, and get this down and work from an image. You can see it's even struggling with focus because it can't even recognize what's going on, or else it's exceptionally misty. It's not even now, just clean the camera lens. So this is the joy of plein air. Actually, do you know what? I'm not going to go back to the studio. I really want to do something here. And I remember I was down in Fermanagh, and I was down at a Trory jetty down in Fermanagh at the Lakelands, and it started to rain, and it actually was really interesting what it added to it. So let's just go on ahead with this. Okay, so let's give this a go. I've set up my little table just to my right here. So I've got this lovely big brush to try. It's a Filbert, so it's a rounded edge, and I've got my water and all the different pencils and things. So let's make a start here. I'm going to start with this, the leaf green. So it's Derwent Inktense that we're using today, and what I want to just try and do is get in just some of the different shapes, and I want to move this around really quite quickly because, well, for two reasons. It's raining, it's outside, and this is the scene that's in front of us, so you can't see really that above there are actually some trees. You can probably faintly kind of see it, but just gonna get some of these in here. And then we've got this path. The path is kind of sloping around like this, and it's going to take this, just trying to get where it is actually going here. Okay, so the path is round, just around this area here. We always, I think a path is successful when you'd like to walk down it. And we're going to lean a wee bit heavier across there. Okay, so at this point I'm just getting in the basic structure of the thing, and then up to this side here you can see that there's just some little bits of where they're obviously deforesting, which seems rather sad. Now the other interesting thing is there's a drop of water that has landed, and because of that, then you can see that that's going to impact the marks that I'm making, because it's going to release some of the pigment. So this is the joy of working in plein air. And some of these, if you can see over here, some of these are really, really sticking out. So let's just try and notice a little bit of that. So the marks are going to be very much a part of this. We've got some marsh that's happening down here. And I'm sure I have other colours that I could use for that. Let's get an amber actually for some of these trees here. The amber's maybe a little too, let's see, let's go for mustard. No, maybe not mustard. Let's go for the willow, which is 1900. Trying to give you these just in case it might be of interest to you. And I want to keep this really nice and loose as well. And I think that plein air kind of forces you to do that as well, because it tends to be cold, unless obviously you live in a warmer climate, then you're going to have the exact opposite issue. And some of these things here, Just and using different techniques, you know, and you'll notice me swirling this pencil around. For those who've seen videos before, I tend to do this a lot as a technique to really keep the pencil a little bit more sharp in some crazy kind of way. Look, and there the trees are appearing again. This is the joy, the absolute joy that is plein air sketching. So if you're wanting to sketch along, hopefully you can maybe either take a screenshot of this, the scene that's in front here, or watch it back, do a freeze frame or something like that. But as always, thanks for watching. Really been encouraged by the views on the Hillsborough video last week and the mental bells. We either sadly or wonderfully don't have any of the bells today. Okay, so I'm going to go to now is I'm going to try and find the brown, the bark. Bark is what we want for this. So this little guy here that's just in front of us is one of the most dominant things in the scene, and I'm happy to make him the most dominant as well. So just trying to get some of the lines of the tree, you know. I love how organically, I'm going to say organically, trees grow. There's a little bird. See if we can zoom in. Oh, let me zoom in. There he is. Where's he gone? Is that him sitting right there? That's him right there. Just right there. If that is a Bob Ross moment. Okay, so just getting some of these different trees and using the different lines as well. Now, I may not bring the water over this, or I might. I don't know. Don't know what I'm going to do yet. I am trying to hold my thoughts in regard to what the outcome's going to be for this, because it's already been a little bit all over the place in terms of the weather. But hey, welcome to Northern Irish weather. Okay, so what I want to do then is get my little hand warmers keep falling out on me. Is let's move to the light olive. Okay, so we're gonna make some of this light olive in here to deepen. Look at those trees; they're coming back so steadily. Just gonna make they're like Christmas trees that are growing here. I think they are probably Christmas. This could well be a Christmas tree farm actually up here. You wouldn't know what the purpose of the land is. So just trying to notice that. Not trying to get perfectly what's in front of me. Just enjoying the fact that we're out here getting to do this. My bum is a little bit wet, I can confirm, because I left my seat outside while it was raining for a bit and then thought, jeepers, it really is raining. So then I decided to move it. I think that I remember I've commented on this before and I was in, I think it was Ballycastle, and the weather was changing on the headland just so continually. And I realised that I had to just make a decision as to where I was going to, what scene in a sense I was going to settle with, because it was just changing so much all the time, you know. So that's, I think, another thing that plein air really forces you to do. Okay, so we've got some oak here as well. I'm going to bring that into it's a nice colour. Got some of these straggly lines kind of moving all over the place here. Just rolling that pencil around. The other thing about rolling the pencil around is, I mean, it's that element of continuous line, but also it keeps you nice and free, you know, and organic in the lines that you're making, which is really nice too. You know, it's something that I really certainly enjoy. Now, obviously, I don't have to cover this entire page because the pigment, the ink, that's present is going to really disperse throughout the page, you know. So this is now olivine 1340. Sorry, I didn't call out the oak one there, but I can give you that one in a wee bit. Now the grass here, if you can see, is made up of this type of a green and also some of the yellow. So what we'll do is begin to mix some of that in. So we've got big chunky green areas down here mixed in with this, the kind of tan ochre kind of colours, you know. Just gonna get some of that down. Don't really want to pull it too far forwards down here, sorry. Don't want to really pull that too far down forwards here. But over here has it as well. You can see over on this side. Oh, it's so nice. So peaceful up here. And I've been here probably about an hour and a half now. And I've seen, I think, 4 or 5 people. It's really quite a lovely and quiet place. Ballyboley Forest. Heading towards north-ish Antrim. I suppose it is North Antrim. Now, okay, so we've now to add in some of this tan colour. And what I'm going to use here is actually tan. Well named, Colin. Well called. 1720. Just going to bring some of it in. Got some of these things poking up across. You can see just in front of me here. Some of these sort of, I was going to say creatures. They look like creatures. Some of these different plants just popping out of nowhere. And then we've got also this sort of more dense marsh kind of area, which want to get. And this looks like it could be well the right colour for this to be able to capture some of this. And moving the pencil around. So this is what I'm capturing here. Let me zoom in a little bit. These kind of grasses. So noticing that they, and the different directions that they grow in. So moving the pencil around to be able to get that. And it does seem like an appropriate colour for it. So a little bit of that. I'm going to just notice a little of that just over, comes to this area here. Now, let's look to a little bit of this darker kind of green, beach green this is. This is 1510. And it's a little bit more electric in its colour ever so slightly, but just to get maybe some of those darker bits in these trees. And also, you know, way down in here, you've got some of that happening there. There's this sort of structure too to these, you know, the Christmas trees. Okay, just gonna. And then the next thing is I'm going to take some of this Sicilian yellow 0220 and just pepper it, because it's quite strong in some ways, but once we get the colours mixing around and moving about, it'll not be quite as strong as that. Some of that's coming over here, just sort of dancing it around here. And we know that this is going to all mix together as well as we progress with this, you know. Okay, so let's look at this road. Now, the road's really interesting because actually it almost looks, it's definitely Payne's Grey. So I'm delighted that I have some of that with me. Payne's Grey is 2110. So we've got these darker kind of lines here. There's also this track which will separate out like that, and then also as it's coming around, it's going to do the same thing. It's going to snake around like that and get wider and wider and wider. And the whole thing, it's actually a little bit of green in the middle of that road. I'm not really too fussed about getting that green in. Some of these stones and things, yes, we're going to just, you know, actually holding the pencil up and twirling, it's going to keep that line nice and light and give it that, I love that kind of illustrated feel almost that you get, you know. Really doing this for coverage here. So this is something that, you know, we're not really looking, because these are the Inktense pencils, I know how they work, so hopefully in putting this down, then whenever it comes to the point that we're actually adding the water in, we're going to move this around, and that's going to be the important bit, rather than you know, having to capture all of the detail just in the pencil marks. It definitely is a different way of working, you know. Okay, so the other thing I want to do is, ooh, what's this one? Amber. Let's try some of this amber as well, just to get it in. I think amber is a little bit like the quinacridone, so I'm not going to use it a lot. If you're interested in the amber, didn't show you, sorry, the amber was 1710. And the oak, if I can find the oak again, where is the oak? Can't find the oak, where's it gone? There's the oak. The oak is 1730. Okay, so I'm going to look to my other set here. Let's see, so we were using willow, we've got charcoal grey, we've got the, yeah, I think probably the best thing is the bark. You can see how small it is. So bark is 2000, and I think the bark's probably the best for what it is that I'm looking to do over on this side, which is to kind of capture something of the spikiness of this side. You know, it's sad on this side because of the deforestation. It's kind of sad. You can see the trees are disappearing again. It's going to be up to me to decide where do I want to, you know, what way do I want to have the trees in here. Do I want them to be really disappeared, or do I want to portray them as being present more? What is it that I'm looking for here? Add in just a little bit of depth. Actually, you know what would be really good? Now, I'm going to go for a really rich red, I think. So maybe a little bit of the Shiraz just down in randomly in a couple of these areas, and that should mix together and hopefully give just a nice kind of feel. Okay, so we're getting there. Now, the trees, it's a little bit hard to know what to do with the trees, and I think what I'm going to do is you can see that the paper's actually buckling a little, and I'm not sure what that's to do with. It could be because it's so darn cold. So what I'm going to do with so I'm just going to do this. This is ink black, and it's 2200. I'm just gonna keep doing this movement because these trees are very vertical. I'm just gonna keep it really, really light because it's super duper misty here. So I'm just really leaning really lightly. There's also a tree over here. It looks like it could really start to rain down again, so I'm just gonna, it's lovely, the different sounds of nature, isn't it? And it feels like we're far enough away from lots of cars as well. This is at the point where a car just decides to drive down. So the underpinning structure of this part I am doing with the black. I'm doing it sort of quite ghostily almost, just trying to get these lines because that's what I can see here. You just see some of the lines of the trees just kind of coming through. Now if I was just using watercolour, then that would be relatively easy to do. I would just get probably an ink black or a lamp black or ivory black or something, one of those more warmer blacks rather than the Payne's grey, and just do this with it. You know, just have it really, really diluted. Try to capture this way. But this is an interesting challenge because normally, obviously, you can see some of the water on the page. Normally you don't have this, so I'm not twirling the pencil around because I want this kind of soft feel to it, you know. These trees remind me of the stuff that you see in Joanna Gray's work. It's actually really pretty solid at different points here. Just going over this to try and capture this scene. And then there's a tree, he's fallen on the side. Probably with a storm there, as you well know. Those of you who've been watching for a while, I was due to be away on a weekend with Toby and there on the Friday and couldn't get there because the storm had arrived. Flights were grounded, and I heard from Mum and Dad that a local in a place called Mount Stewart, you may well know it, they reported something like 20,000 trees were down. So the damage that has done has been pretty profound. Okay, so that's all of the sketching that I want to do. I'm quite pleased with that. It'll be interesting to see how this translates. I'm just covering up my pencils because it's raining and I don't want the pencils, and the pencils have fallen everywhere. I shall take my time. Meanwhile, while I'm doing this, we can chat, and you can see the picture. These are the joys of Plein Air, that it rarely goes according to plan, but if you can actually work with it, then you can come up with something that you would never have envisaged. Okay, so as I said, this is a Sostrene Grene, number 10. It's a Filbert. I don't normally use Filbert, but let's go with this. So what I'm going to do first of all is just add in some water to these ghosted trees. Just lightly kind of dancing it over. Now, the trees have completely gone again. As I said, the joy of Plein Air. So at this point, we're working from memory, folks. It's using the brush on its side. This is actually a lovely brush to be able to capture this scene. So I'm glad that I'd brought this one along. So just going to tilt it to its side. We can extend the trees on up a little bit as well for that. Let's see. Yes. Splashes too. This could be one of my new favourite brushes. Well, I'm really pleased that we were able to actually make this happen today, because it seemed at one point, as you heard me talk, that I was thinking this is probably let's do this at home in the studio. But the studio is such a different experience to painting outside, and I think it's a really good discipline, and also it's just really good for you being outside. Always clears my head, does me the world of good, and I took a bit of time to journal and do my devotional as well, which is just lovely up here. Just it's great opportunity. Okay, and there's this tree. So I mean, it's always an abstraction. I think I'm getting more and more comfortable with that as well, you know. Actually, it's lovely as I go over this section here that the tree actually begins to come forward as well, and that, you know, these trees here. So let's move on down now. Lovely. Look at the colours. Just love how the Inktense works. Just the colours explode, and this brush is clearly holding lots of ink as well, which is just wonderful. And I'm not going to be concerned about any bleed here. Part of me is really tempted just to pull this right across and down, so let's go with that. Maybe not. Huh. You learn as you go, don't you? So just exploding these colours down here, not trying to get every single bit of it, but letting them bleed together as well. Now the brush is going to the brush is going to hold the colour. And, you know, I know that I mention this most times when I'm using the Inktense, but it's the joy for me is that the pencil marks remain. As I said, if I didn't want that, I would use a different medium, but because of how these work, it means that I can retain some of the almost sketchy illustrated. I'm going to use the word vibe there, but I feel like I'm too old to use the word vibe. Okay, and just trying to capture this bit. Could just let this bleed in, which would be quite nice. There's that ink, not ink black, the bark, doing what I hoped it would do. Love the little flecks now. Just adding a bit more water to this. Just to pull on the Payne's grey here for the road. A little bit more water. Just leaving a couple of little bits that are still got just the pencil marks, you know. And drag this down a little bit beyond its line as well. Okay, I don't think I would do much more to that. So here we are, Ballyboley, Derwent Inktense on A3 350 GSM, my beloved Seawhite of Brighton. And this is the scene that is now in front of me. It has changed, as you well know, dramatically throughout this process, but I think I'm quite pleased with that. You can tell me whether you think so in the comments. So if you ever wonder what the setup looks like, it's just a simple camping chair, little camping table, water bottle, cup, all that I need, brushes, but just this little table's been really, really helpful. My aunt bought me that and it just folds away to nothing. And then my bag for holding all of the kit. Just really, really simple and really easy to put together. So this one's been an interesting one. Really lovely, isolated place. In some ways, not really that beautiful. Hard to track the weather. Really glad that in the end we were able to capture it together. Interesting scene, and especially appreciated having to figure out how to tackle the trees that were just really disappearing and coming and disappearing and all those kind of things. So I'm pleased with the result that I got from that. Thank you for watching, really appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit that little bell icon and you'll be notified of videos and lives and all that sort of thing. I offer lots of stuff. This is part of how I provide for my family, so if you're interested in privateation, commissions, and buying some of my artwork for your wall, head to woodwardswatercolours.co.uk and you'll find all the information there. But that's it for me for now. Hope you enjoyed this one and I'll see you sometime soon. Bye for now.